How's it going, guys? Today I've got a video showing you how I installed this pt250 kicker sub and amp combo. I got it at Walmart for about 200 bucks. As you can see, this is it. It's about 35 pounds, 10-inch sub right here with an amp built in. So yeah, let me show you how I kind of wired it. This red wire here, this is the power wire. That was really the hardest part, getting it hooked up. So as you can see, they give you a fusible link here, which has a fuse in it. So in case you short out, you don't catch your car on fire. Just put directly on the positive terminal there, and then soldered that onto the rest of the wire that they provided. That just goes onto the strut bar here, and you can see that it goes right through the firewall down there. Unfortunately, there was no great pass-through through the firewall, so I drilled my own. And kind of just peeled back this carpet here, and you can see right there, that's where I drilled, and I just passed it through and fished it back up to the battery. So this runs under the carpet here. You can see it poking out there. Just under this trim piece. I haven't put the clips back in, but I will. And then, as you can see, behind the seat belt here, still under the trim, and there's this little bit poking out. I'm gonna fix that up eventually. Specifically for the Kia Spectra here, if you just lift up on the seat, there we go. It's kind of on a hinge like this, and you can fold it forward. And that's kind of how I routed it behind the seat here. Yeah, so we'll just leave that like that, because I'm gonna get back to that. Oops, let's grab the phone there. So yeah, that's how the power got through. The next wire here, this blue one, that's your remote turn on. So if you have a aftermarket stereo, it's not very long, so you might need some extra wire to run that up to your stereo to plug it in, so it'll turn on with your stereo. I didn't end up using it because I'm using the stock stereo, as you can see. Oh, maybe, yep. So that didn't really apply to me. It's not really touching anything. This black is your ground. It comes with an extra terminal that you can crimp and solder on. So that's what I did, and then just bolted it directly to the chassis. There's a couple spots that you'll find once you peel back the carpet that are perfectly fine to ground to. Then this gray cable right here, this is your right, or these two gray cables rather, these are your right speaker inputs, and then these two white ones are your left speaker inputs. And they one of each color has a black line on it, and that's the negative. But it tells you that in the manual. So yeah, and then you have your fuse, and finally your remote base dial that I routed similar to the power cable, just on the opposite side of the car. So now this wasn't really hard, but it was definitely the most time consuming part, was actually getting these wires soldered onto the speakers. This amp does have an option for, as you can see right there, input level is on high right now. That's for speaker level input. But if you wanted to use RCA cables and you have an aftermarket stereo, you have the option to do that as well. I don't, so I didn't. I just decided soldering directly onto the rear speakers would be the easiest course of action. So specifically for the Kia Spectra here, this was the most time-consuming part, was getting this carpet out. Luckily, this whole car is held together by 10mm bolts and Phillips heads, but there's a lot of them. So there's one 10mm there, one up here, one here. There's supposed to be one there. I lost one there. There's two. Hold on, let me go back up here. There's two right behind the bolster here. And I didn't know this, but you can actually take the bolster out fairly easily. This bolt right here, it's a 12 mil. Undo that, this whole bolster will lift out and makes it a lot easier to get at those bolts. And then this whole speaker cover right here, which is also part of the seat belt for the rear passenger, should lift right out and expose the speaker. And then there's two clips holding in the carpet that you can just pull out with some pliers. And then once all that's done, you can just peel the carpet down, and there's a clip that goes directly into the rear speaker. You just undo the clip, and then the terminal should be exposed, at which point you can just solder the appropriate wire onto the appropriate terminal, put the clip back on, put everything back together, and call it a day. So yeah, not too hard of an install. It does take a little bit of time. It's pretty tedious, but you know, it beats having to pay someone else to install it, especially if you like, you know, tinkering around with your car and shit. So yeah, I already mentioned that this is the remote bass knob. I'll kind of show you how that's routed. It goes through this side of the seat, kind of similar to the power wire over there. Just comes out over here. I haven't routed it perfectly yet, but I plan to. It kind of just goes under the seat here, and this is what it is. Just a little dial. It comes with some mounting hardware if you want to, you know, like put it on your console or something. I haven't done that yet, but it does work, and it's a pretty good feature. So I'm not gonna bother playing any music over this thing, because from all the reviews and stuff I've seen online, it doesn't pick up the audio super well if you film it on a phone or whatever and just post it on YouTube. But trust me, it does sound pretty good, especially if you're used to having a lot of bass in your speakers, like I am. So gotta say, for the 12 hours or whatever it's been in my car, no complaints so far. More than I need, more bass than I need, but yeah. So hopefully this helped you out. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to leave them in the comments, and until next time, bye-bye.